In this lab, we'll do some more formatting in Excel workbook. So if you have your student monthly budget workbook open, please do so. If not, and we'll just continue with the same workbook. Student monthly budget workbook, open it and put your cursor in cell A1. Now, as you can see, the student monthly is a combined word. I want to make it separate. You can do either double click and put your cursor, and with your space key you can have the space in between two words, or you can also go to the top bar here and have the space bar and then make it a room and click enter. Next thing, I want to make this title in center. I can manually do it, but manually you will have a trouble. So Excel has that particular functionality where you can move it in the center. So with your left mouse, select cell A1 and drag your cursor up to cell F1. That is where our table ends. And go to your home button and go to merge and center. Go to merge and center. And select merge and center. That's the one. Combine and center the contents on the selected cell in a new larger cell. So as you can see, student monthly budget has been come in the center now. Next, I will be doing some couple of very basic tasks that you will be doing in Excel in day-to-day work. Is the expanding or making smaller the columns or the rows. To make its column bigger, put your cursor in between both the columns, say for example A and B, and if you want to make it wider, just drag it and Excel will resize the columns. If you want to make your row bigger, just do like this. Click on in between. Say for example I want to make row 8 bigger. I can drag with my left mouse and make it a little bit bigger. If you don't want to keep this change, just press Ctrl Z on your keyboard or go to the undo row heights. Next, we will go through some basic navigation in Excel workbook. For example, you want to move down or move up or left or right. Okay, so put your cursor in G4 and suppose you created an entry in G4 and now you want to move down. So simply you will press enter on your keyboard and cursor will move down. Now if you want to go up, press shift on your keyboard and press enter. So this is how you can move up, shift enter. Now if you want to move to the next cell, you will simply press tab, which is the above the caps lock key. Press tab and you will move to the right. Now if you want to move to the left, as you can imagine, you press shift and tab, so you will move on the left. So these are the like a basic navigations in Excel. As an alternative, you can also press up, down or left or right arrow on your keyboard. So this will go down, left, right or up. So those arrows are next to your control key or next to your number keys on your right hand side on your keyboard. And of course the third alternative is you can move with your mouse up or down, left or right. So these are like 3 basic options in Excel to navigate inside your workbook. The next task I'm going to do is formatting. So click on the student monthly budget in row number 1 and click on the bold button on top and click B. So student monthly budget has become bold now. Next we will go over the task how you can resize your column width. Put your cursor in miscellaneous column A and row number 7 and enter miscellaneous expenses. Enter. And I also want you to put your cursor in percentage space F4, double click, and space, put the percentage sign and enter. So as you can see, miscellaneous expenses is not read completely because it's in the column. The column width doesn't allow to have that particular word come out completely. So to make it happen, just double click anywhere between A and B column, double click, and as you can see, the column A becomes wider so that it can accommodate the entire word. Now if you have many columns and you have certain words are bigger or there are more information, you don't want to go through one by one. You want to use shortcut. In order to do that, you will select your column A to F. In our case is A to F. In your case it may be a more a wider table. So the idea is to select everything and click anywhere on your column. So you can go between D or E or C or D, doesn't matter, just in between the two column headings and just double click on. So as you can see, the percentage column has now become bigger. Now what happens if you want to make some columns bigger? You don't want to use the Excel's auto width functionality, and you want to just manually want to do certain columns. Say for example, you want to make this April, May and June a little bigger, but you don't want to go one by one. Say for example, you can make it bigger with your mouse, and then selecting the col in between the column and drag it to your right. Instead, you will select the columns that you want to make either bigger or smaller. Say for example, I want to make the B, C and D, all three, a little bit bigger. So I'll select B, C and D, and then I'll put my cursor between D and E, and I'll just drag to my right. And as you can see, all three columns becomes bigger at the same time. So you don't want to go with the one by one. Similarly, if you want to make it shorter, you will just drag it on your left. These are just the smaller the functionalities within the Excel. It is really helpful in your day-to-day work. Next, say for example, you want to italize your text. For example, the April 2020, you want to make a little bit different than the others. You will click on the cell and go to the top here and use this button, italicize your text, and text becomes a little different than others. Now what happens if you want to do for entire row? In that case, you will select your row with your left mouse, select row number 3, click on italicize your text. The text becomes different than the other titles, and say for example, you want to go back, Ctrl Z on your keyboard or press the undo button on top.